Hello and welcome to Feast One's Eyes on Watches. The watch I'm reviewing this time is one with a sterile face, and it's a Bliger, and this is the Homage, the Rolex Submariner, and it has obviously the red dial and red bezel going around at the outside, and it does look quite lovely. Every time I treat myself to a new watch, I feel like it's Christmas again, and this is no exception to the rule. The face on it is very, very festive. In some countries, the colour red denotes energy, vitality, heat and power, and in China it also denotes happiness, success and good fortune. So hopefully with this watch maybe I'll get some good fortune. Anyhow, we'll carry on with the review. Now let's talk about some of the specifications of this watch. Well, it's got a sapphire crystal glass. As you can see, there is a cyclops, and I think it probably is at least 2 times magnification. The hands are very typical of the Rolex, with the Mercedes hour parts pointing up, and there's loom going around the indices, and I think there might be a little bit of loom just on the one red dot. The outside bezel I would think is made of aluminium. Apparently when they're trying to do a red bezel, it's a little bit of a problem, I suppose, especially for the cheaper watches. But nevertheless, when you move the bezel around, it does move very, very well. And as you can see, I'm applying very little pressure to move this around. I just kept quiet for a moment so you could hear the clicks. And it lines up nicely. The hands, as they sweep around the dial, again do line up quite nice. And even if you're having a look at the second hand, just moving around the bottom here, you'll see that the needle point on it sweeps lovely up to the second outer dial. The crown is a screw down crown, and again you turn this anti-clockwise and then it just pops out. Pulling it all the way out, you can hear that little click as it comes out. This starts to adjust our time for our hours and minutes. But you'll see, if you look at the second hand as I'm moving this around, this watch doesn't hack. To push it back in, just have to engage this, push it all the way in and then screw it in, and it does go back in fairly easy, and I should imagine there's quite a reasonable seal on the inside of this, so it might have some good water resistance. Unscrewing the crown and just waiting for it to pop out engages where you can just wind the watch up mechanically, and you'll just feel that little resistance with your finger and thumb, and this is obviously adding now to its power reserve. Now these watches, you get some options for the movements inside, and you'll get the Mingzhu 2813, or you get the Miyota 2815, and I paid that little bit extra for the Miyota with this one. To set the date, you pull the crown out to its first click and then turn it anti-clockwise, and you'll see then that the date just changes automatically for you. Again, just to engage this, you push it all the way back, then just screw it in. Just shone my torch on the watch face for 30 seconds. And this is how much loom it's absorbed, or how much light it's taken on. You can see the second hand just moving around. I should imagine if you've fully charged it would look a lot better. The case on the watch is 361L stainless steel, and it's brushed around the top and down into the lugs, and then it's just polished over onto the side. You can see that the crown is not signed, and this is because of the sterile face, and there's a sterile back on it as well. The case on the back is a screw down case, and just looking around, the finish is very good, very nicely polished, all smooth edges, nothing sharp or what you could class as being uncomfortable. Next we'll have a little look at the bracelet. The bracelet is a nice brushed effect, and it's a very fine brushed effect, and it really does feel quite nice. From the top down to the buckle, it's about a 2mm taper on there. I'll check it out later. As you can see, there's also screw pins. Now I really like the screw pins because it makes life so much easier to change the buckle around, or the strap around, sorry. And looking over onto the other side again, you can see that all the links are fitted really quite nicely. It's all very smooth, finished off very good. The buckle on the watch opens with a safety clasp first, and then just clicking this open, and then it opens up quite nice. And as you can see, it's very nicely polished just on the inside. Now, one of the really nice features about this is this part, and where you normally have micro adjustments, with this all you have to do is just unlock this and slide it backwards and forward, and it adjusts so easy. It saves taking out all those horrible little pins and adjusting them. And I believe that this is quite a good feature on some of the Rolex. Here again, as I click this in, close it up, everything closes up very nice. So again, that adjustment inside here is really good. It's the first watch I've had with it as well. I want to have a look at some of the dimensions of the watch, and just taking this across the bezel, you can see it's 40.4. The thickness of the watch without the cyclops is 13.5. If you wanted to change the strap over or bracelet over, maybe put a leather one on, the inside measurement on this is just 20mm. The bracelet just below the lug is 19.5 and tapers down to 16.4. The bracelet thickness is 8.5. Now, one of the reasons I measure this is because if you are wearing a shirt with cuffs, then this makes a difference between this size and this size and how it will fit under the cuff. Will the red dialed Bliger fit under the cuff? Well, as you can see, it fits really well, and I think it looks really good. So for me, that is a pass. Will the red dialed Bliger fit under the cuff with red cufflinks? Well, have a look at that. It does look quite nice. And with the appropriate shirt cufflinks, it looks exceptional. So for me, that is a pass. Just pop the watch onto the wrist, and as you can see, it does look very, very good. The dial with the red really does make it look quite attractive. Black always complements red, so a nice black jacket would go quite well. Also, don't forget a black shirt would look good. As we're moving into our winter months, a warm jumper with red and black looks quite nice. And if you want to go for a shirt, maybe something with a little bit of a stripe in it, like a pink and white, that again goes quite nicely. But you can also go for creams and whites. And going for t-shirts, well, again, if you really want to show the watch off and it's warm enough, then a t-shirt would look really, really nice with this. Currently, Bliger's official store is not selling this watch. However, there are other stores online that you can get this, and one of them that's just come up on the screen now is where you can actually purchase the watch. To conclude this review, you have to consider the price of the watch, and Bliger's price on this was just a little bit over £50. I got it in a sale. When it came into the country, I didn't have to pay any import duty, and I didn't have to pay the post office any extra monies, so I got it for the same price, so it was good value. It doesn't come in a fancy box, it comes in a brown envelope, but there was nothing wrong with it. It looks good, it functions well, and with the right occasion, this really does look quite nice. If you look at the alternative of buying a Rolex Submariner, you're going to be paying £7,650. Alright, so just think back, for just over £50, you've got a stunning looking watch.